We're doing our presentation on California forest fires by Sean McGrew and Jake Coker. So, forest fires can cause damage to property, destruction to trees and soil. They can cause harm to humans and animals, or even completely destroy an ecosystem. So, this is a map of all the forest fires that have burnt down structures. And as you can see, California, it's red across the entire state. Due to because California, just the entire state has bad fires. You could see out here in Texas is bad. Out in like the dry areas is where forest fires are the worst. So why are wildfires a problem in California? So California has a lot of fires due to the Mediterranean climate. It's really dry during the summer and it gets hot. And during due to the short rain season, there's not too much moisture in California, which causes wildfire season to just be year round. Another reason why California has a lot of fires is due to the large population. So most wildfires are actually started by humans and not natural causes. So the large population just means more people could accidentally or just carelessly start a fire that turns into a wildfire. The third reason why California has a lot of fires is because of the Santa Ana winds. This is just dry, hot winds that can start fires, and that's mainly in Southern California. But they just help spread. They're like a fuel for the fire. So the number of California wildfires in 2019. In California, there is 8,194 wildfires. And just to put that into perspective, Texas was the second state with the highest wildfires in the USA. And they had 6,892. That's about 1,300 more wildfires in a year is quite insane. So like the US, the whole country had 50,477 wildfires. So that's 16% of all the wildfires in the country last year were from California, which is a drastic number. This map here just shows which states are safer and which states are dangerous due to the wildfires. As you can see, California, it's got the 1 right there, meaning that it's the most dangerous state in the country for wildfires. You see Texas number 2. And you see out on the East Coast, it's a lot of green area because it's just a lot more moist over there, so they just don't get too many wildfires. So when and where wildfires occur in California? California, they get wildfires almost year round. It's pretty much all fire season in California. From October to April, the Santa Ana winds are what causes the fires, and they dry out the landscape and they carry fires. Like I said, they're fuel, and they can just keep fires going and keep starting them during the winter and fall seasons. From June to September, what starts the fires and what makes them thrive is the heat. Um, California, they get wildfires all across the state due to its dry climate. So, like I said, California, there's not many areas where we don't get fires because it's just a really dry state. But there's cities like San Bernardino and Riverside, those areas, and like the north of Northern California, they get a lot of fires up there too, and that's mostly due to the dry climate and the a lot of natural wildlife. There's some areas that have a lot of moisture, like San Francisco. They tend to get less just because all the moisture. They're not too dry of an area. So the Santa Ana winds, we talked about that a little bit. And they're a big reason why California is such a high wildfire state. So the Santa Ana winds are just a warm, dry wind that blows west to Southern California. They come through the desert to the coast. They originate at like high altitudes from the Sierra Nevadas and the Rocky Mountains. They blow downhill and it gets compressed, which increases the temperature and it makes them just dry and warm. So that helps start fires and it's a great fuel. So it's really actually dangerous due to it makes fires spread like crazy, and it's really hard for people to put them out because they just spread and they're unpredictable. They're that's what a lot of that kills a lot of people, and a lot of forests and houses. And right here is a picture of kind of where the Santa Ana winds are coming from. You could kind of see how it's coming from Nevada and that area from the desert coming down to Southern California, and it really hits Southern California bad. And yeah, that's why Southern California gets tons of wildfires even during the winter and fall seasons.
Ecosystem and property damage. In 2019, in California alone, around 1.1 million acres were burned, and in 2018, nearly 2.7 million acres were. Damages across the state cost nearly $25.4 billion. Many lives were lost, and the damages to the environment and ecosystems were detrimental. As fire damages increased, the burnt acreage increased, and these animals were either forced out of their habitats or they were stuck where they were and they were burnt alive by the flames. Geological impact. These wildfires have a large impact on the ways that our geological terrain has formed as well as is forming. These fires destroy landscapes and they're left without trees standing, no plants or vegetation on the ground, and there are very few roots left in the soil. This can be dangerous during a heavy rain season in California, and with no organisms to soak up the water that falls and soaks into the soil, landslides may occur. The soil loses strength and becomes hazardous and destructive. These landslides can move at very rapid rates. They can also change the terrain of the land after a fire. So here we have a picture from LA County after a fire. You can see all the terrain around it is pretty burnt. And through this path right here, there's not a lot of vegetation. So the soil kind of broke free and turned into a mudslide and caused damage all around. You can see the house in the background. So these California wildfires are some of the most dangerous fires in the United States, and they're driven by fast, high-pressure wind systems, and they can spread very rapidly. This makes it really hard for firefighters and crews to fight these fires or stop the spread of them because they're controlled by environments that are out of their control, such as wind, weather, and dryness, stuff like that. So these fires do tremendous damage to ecosystems and to the environment and even the geological terrain of California. But aside from this, these wildfires can also bring new life. For many of these habitats, fire can bring new life and organisms, and they will soon begin to thrive, and the life cycle will continue and arise in new forms. So in this next picture, we have an example of secondary succession, which is species coming back into the land over time. So you have within 1 to 2 years, you see little to no growth, and then you see annual plants start to grow, which are like flowers blooming within season. And 3 to 4 years, grasses and perennials will start to sprout. 5 to 150 years, this is where you see grasses, shrubs, pines, oak trees, hickory trees, and then mature oak and hickory forests begin to sprout. And this is the climax of the community. And then you have, what direction does the Santa Ana winds blow? And the answer for this one is C. The Santa Ana winds blow to the west. Then we have, how many acres were burned in 2019 in California alone? The answer to this one is A, 1.1 million acres were burned in 2019. And which state had the most wildfires? The answer to this one is B, it's California.